Hey everyone, welcome to Lunch and Learn. Today we have Lauren from Elle Company, which I'm super excited to have her here. If you're new to this series, Lunch and Learn is a weekly series where we just hop on with other creatives. They take us behind the scenes of their business, their side projects, their client work, anything like that, and we just get to know them and their input that they have to share. So today, Lauren's going to be walking us through one of her passive income streams, which is the library, which I'm so lucky I get to be a part of. I'm going to pass it on over to Lauren to introduce herself. Thanks so much, Lauren, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and it looks like a really fun group is joining in today, so thank you so much. But yes, my name is Lauren Hooker, and I'm the graphic designer behind Elle Company. Elle Company is a business, blogging, and design resource for creative entrepreneurs, and I do this through e-courses, through the Elle Company blog, and also through the library, my subscription library that I've been running for about, I guess it's been a year and a half now, maybe even coming up on 2 years, which is kind of crazy. And actually, I came up with the library on a whim. I had all of these design files, and by the way, I have to apologize for this little beeping noise that's going on in the background. I told Jamie, of course, today of all days, they've decided to rip up the asphalt outside of our apartment and repave. So I apologize for that.
We'll forgive you.
Yeah, and my cat might jump up here too. You just never know. It can be really entertaining. But anyway, back to the library. So I started it because I had all of these design files on hand, from invitations to monthly calendars, and I thought it'd be fun to share with my audience. And at that time, my audience was kind of all over the place. I had a personal blog that I also used for business. I wasn't very strategic about it, so I just started sharing files, and surprisingly, got over 100 people that were interested in using those files. And then as my business began to evolve, and it was more geared toward creative entrepreneurs, I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to share workbooks and design files that could help them in their business. And I'm thankful that I've been able to bring Jamie on board too, and she's come up with some really awesome designs in there. For those of you who are members of the library, you've probably seen her workbooks, her blog post templates that she put in there recently. We put in there this week that are awesome. She always over delivers and surprises me every time. So it's really fun to have her on board too. But early on in my business, one of the best pieces of advice that someone gave me was to create multiple streams of income. So at the time I was freelancing, and many of you, it sounds like, are designers yourself, so you can relate. But I was freelancing, and it was really hard to bring in a stable income. So my income shifted from month to month, depending on the number of clients that I had. So I wanted a way to bring in a more consistent income and bring in another stream of income that could help me go full time and bring in more money each month. So I came up with the library idea. And that's why subscription libraries can be really awesome, especially if you're charging people for subscription libraries, because it provides that other source of income and a more steady recurring income on a consistent basis. And all you have to do is add to it every so often, and you just try to get more and more people in the door to subscribe. You don't have to do any extra work, whether you have 5 subscribers or 500 subscribers. It's the same on your end. You just have to get those people in the door and to subscribe. So it's passive income. You still have to do the work. You still have to put in the work, but like I said before, you just work on getting more people in the door. You're doing the same amount of work. It's recurring. So even though it fluctuates a little and there's some unsubscribes every month, usually it's just a steady increase. So you know that you can depend on that month after month. And for those of you who are part-time and want to go full-time, it's a great way to bring in that other stream of income. Jamie, do you have multiple streams of income? Have you worked on that too?
Yeah, I have. Let me present a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I have. I do e-courses. I have a few mini classes, and I've got, of course, things in the works as well. I'm sure you do. I wanted to ask, like, was the library your first go at passive income, or did you have something to kind of prep you before that?
It was my first go at passive income. And really, I didn't even understand the term passive income at the time. I was still really new. So I just sort of fell into it and then realized this is awesome. I do the work once and I just try to get more and more people in the door. And as I got more people to my website and the more people heard about it, the more people would sign up. And of course, when I tailored the content more toward my audience, that really helped too. But yeah, so the benefits of creating a subscription library are great, even if it isn't a paid subscription. Even if you're offering things for free, you can set up a paywall, which I'll talk about in a moment, and you can capture emails. So I know Melissa Griffin from the Nectar Collective posted on this recently about her subscription library. It's not, people don't have to pay for it. They can access those files, but they do have to pay for it, I guess, in giving their emails.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way. It's a great content upgrade too, to get people on your mailing list. So the benefits are great, and you can get creative with it too. So yeah, as far as what to include in your library for Elle Company, like I said, I have everything from workbooks that Jamie's helped me a lot with. She's probably sick of workbooks by now, but
I love workbooks.
she does an awesome job with workbooks. And so I have files like that. I have templates now with Adobe Illustrator. Jamie helped me with those too this month, the blog post graphics. Also, business card files are in there. So a lot of files, but I think that you can get really, really creative with what you could include in a content library or a subscription library. I think people are really used to getting those workbooks and that sort of thing, but you can get really creative and tailor it toward your audience too. So you can have video lessons in there, or maybe recordings. So if you do webinars on a regular basis, maybe you put all the recordings behind a paywall and ask people for their email in order to access it. Or you have them pay to access it, which could be really helpful. You could do exclusive blog posts. If people really love your content, you could dive in deeper and just charge them a monthly subscription for that really awesome content. Podcasts, ebooks, you can get really creative. Stock photos. I know for photographers, I know I would personally love to have a collection that I could use for blog post graphics or whatever else, and just subscribe to it, and the collection changes every month. That could be really awesome. For calligraphers, you might offer fonts, and that could be a font library for a content library. Or if you're an illustrator, you could do patterns and illustrations. I would really think about your audience and who's following along with you, and think about the things that they need on a consistent basis. So if your audience is made up of other business owners like mine is, you might, or more specifically, this would be really awesome. If you're like Jamie and I and you design brands, to have a content library that's full of patterns that you could go in and change the colors of, or illustrations or something like that, could be really, really awesome. Would you agree, Jamie?
Yeah, definitely. I've thought about that too. Like assets other designers could use themselves.
Yeah, that could be huge. So think about your audience and think about what you could provide them on a consistent, regular basis, because you want to continue to add to it. You don't want it to just stay the same and people pay monthly for the same content over and over again. You want to give them an incentive to hang on and stay in there every month. So something that you could consistently offer and realistically offer on a monthly basis. But think about what gives them value and what they could benefit from. And I would really encourage you, especially because there's so many creatives in here, to get really creative about what you're offering. And if somebody else is doing it already, think about how you could switch it up and really make it your own, instead of just doing what's already been done before. If you do it that way, you might not have very much success. But if you differentiate it and make it really different, make it very unique, it could it could have a lot more potential that way. So if you see everybody doing workbooks already, then you might not want to do a workbook unless it's something really different and very niche specific. I know Joan's Design Company, it's a lifestyle blog I've been following along with forever. She does a monthly subscription, but she does like monthly calendars and she makes them themed. So for February, it's usually like Valentine's related and pinks and reds. And it's for a lot of, I guess her niche is more moms and homemakers. So she does like grocery lists and to-do lists. And it's just really fun. She knows her audience well, and she has a lot of success from it. I think it's called Paperworks, if you ever want to check it out. But yeah, just get really creative. Think about your audience. Think about what you can provide to them that's different and that would give them value and really benefit them. Have you seen other subscription services too, Jamie? What are some of the most creative you've seen?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have Nisha from Nisha Designs.
Yes.
She has the She Lancers Club, and she's actually going to be on here in a couple weeks. But she does something really creative, and she does blog posts just for the She Lancers Club, a community which is very popular now to have like a Slack group or Facebook group just for the people who pay for that subscription. She does like walkthroughs of her client process. Worksheets, everything like that. It's very helpful. I think it's so creative. I also think it's cool how she doesn't name it a library. Yours is a library. That's what I always think of as, a resource library is Elle Company. But she took it somewhere different and made its own brand. So that's another option you could do is have its own kind of entity by itself apart from your brand or something underneath it. So
yeah. That is so creative to show behind the scenes of her process. Does she change it up every month? I guess she's offering new blog posts and things like that too, often to keep people hanging on and subscribing.
Yeah, I think the main thing that she does is she has this Facebook group. I think that's pretty much the best part of it. Is it's such a small group. I mean, it's like over 100 people, but it's still small enough where you don't feel lost in the group, where you can still reach out for help and advice from other people. So that's probably the most valuable part, but she does do monthly blog posts and different kind of themes for each month of the content too. She has guest posters within the She Lancers Club contribute too, just for that content. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all about exclusivity, I feel like.
And it seems like she really knows her audience and what her audience needs, and that's why she's had success with
yeah, definitely.
I think that's one thing that I've learned often too, especially recently, is getting to know what your audience wants and even asking them. So if you're thinking about a subscription library and you're thinking about what could bring value to your audience and what they need on a monthly basis, you might just go ahead and survey people or reach out to people who are leaving you comments or who have reached out to you through email and just take the time to ask them what they want. I think that that's so important, and sometimes it could be right in front of your face, but you usually make it too complicated or think too much into it. So ask your audience what they would want to. I don't think that hurts either. But yeah, so I thought I'd show you behind the scenes of what the Elle Company site looks like. And then I'll go into some different options for how to run your own subscription library in case you're thinking, I know what I want to include, I just don't know how to go about it. So I'll share my screen if that's all right with you, Jamie.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Show you inside the library.
I'll tell you while you're switching screens, that's the first time I logged in when you gave me access to it. I remember looking at it thinking, wow, there's just so much content here. Like it kind of blew me away. So I think people will have the same reaction if this is their first time looking at it. So you can kind of scroll through there. I haven't seen the blog post inputs up. That's nice to see.
Yes. So actually, and what I'll go back out and show you what it looks like if you don't have access to the library yet and show you what the paywall looks like. But this is the Elle Company library, and I just use this top part to tell people what it is, if they're new and they're joining in for the first time, and then the newest edition up here too. So if it's been a while since they logged in and they don't know what might be new, that they can see it here. And then the blog post templates, which are new. Jamie designed these, and she did an awesome job. I was thinking, I'm a little sad that I already have my blog post graphic templates, or else I would totally be liking these. They look really awesome. So these are Adobe Illustrator files. So if people click on these, it'll download the Adobe Illustrator file, and they can pull it right into Illustrator and change out the colors and the fonts. If they want to match their brand, add that blog post title, and they're good to go. And then there's other files like the Elle Company Planner. And so I just created little graphics so that if they click on it, and it might take just a second. It's a pretty large file.
I use this planner myself too, so.
I'm so glad. This is the one offering in the library. It comes around before the beginning of each year. Oh my word, it's taking forever. It comes around before the beginning of each year, and it's just a printable planner. So it pulls up here, and they can see a little preview. That's a blank page. And if they can save it straight from here, they can save the file, and then they can print it off. I'm in Safari right now, so Chrome usually has a little thing that pops up down here that I can download it and then save it. And then I can go back out if I want to. 2016 desktop calendar I have in here. These are also printable, so you can print out the file and trim them, and they fit in. They're 4x6, so they fit in a regular frame too, which looks cute on your desk. To-do lists, business card templates. Again, these are Adobe Illustrator files, so they're customizable. But you can see just down the page, I created the graphics, and I made them hyperlinked and clickable. So if people click on it, they get to the files themselves, and they can download them straight from there. All of these, most of these are designed by Jamie. And I think what we discussed earlier was giving you free access to the blog calendar here. One of my favorite workbooks in here that Jamie created and did an awesome job of. Helps you not only plan out your blog posts, but keep up with all the tasks for them. And then down here, this is my favorite part, is just brainstorming and brainstorming topics to blog about. So you can see how it's set up. It's just really simple. This is actually a page on my Squarespace site that I put up a paywall on so that people can't access it. They have to log in to access it. And I add new things. I try to do it 3 times a month to give people value and for them to hang on to their subscription and stay in. So yeah, so you can see there's tons of different files in here: note cards, gift tag templates, and more worksheets as well. So it doesn't have to be super involved. You can just create simple graphics for whatever it is. If it's a podcast, maybe you just create a graphic for each podcast episode. Or if it's a video lesson, create a different graphic for each video lesson and just put them on a page on your website and put a paywall up. It could be really, really simple and really easy. And that way, if I just want to add a new item to the library, I go to my Squarespace site, I go to that page, and I just add it all in there, and I don't have to worry about it. So that's my screen, and that's the library. I'm going to come out of this. I think I took it off. Maybe I didn't. Usually it has a button up. Sorry about this, guys.
Here, I'll present to me while you.
Not giving people tunnel vision. All right, let me try to figure this out.
Okay. But you can see on the library how much information was there. I was blown away the first time I went in because she's had this for a year and a half. So when you first start, you might just have maybe 5 downloads or something like that. But over time, you'll get like a whole bunch of resources, which makes it so valuable. Let's switch up. Oh, there you are.
Oh my word. I'm used to being on the other end of the webinar screen, not on this one. I know how to use Google Hangouts, guys, I promise. But yeah, so that's an inside look at the library. And the paywall system that I use is called TinyPass. Now it's changed over to piano. So if you're ever looking for it, that's where you'll find it. And it just gave me a simple code. I went in, created a TinyPass account, and I set up the paywall, and they gave me a code, and I put it into Squarespace within the special code for that page. It was really simple. Dropped it in there, and anybody who wants to access that page, the paywall will come up. So I'll show you that in just a minute. Now, before you go running to TinyPass, while it is helpful and it's worked for me for the last year and a half, I guess it's been. If I were to go back and do it over right now, knowing what I know, I would probably go with Memberful. Memberful integrates with Squarespace, and I haven't done as much research on it as my husband Jake has. He's all about Memberful. And the only reason that we haven't switched over to it is because we already have all of our subscribers' credit card information, accounts all set up through TinyPass. So it would be a really big headache, and we'd probably lose a lot of subscribers if we unsubscribed them and then asked them to join in with Memberful. It's a mess. Anyway, I would highly suggest looking into both of them. The reasons that I don't use or wouldn't use TinyPass, what I wish I could change, is that their payouts are really slow. So anytime I ask for a payout from their system, it takes about like 3 weeks to receive the money in PayPal. And then, of course, when you have it in PayPal, if you want to transfer it to your bank account, it takes another 3 to 4 days. So the payouts are really slow. And there have been some workarounds too, where people have been able to access the content without paying. So that's a headache, and I don't want that for you all either. So I would highly suggest Memberful. For those of you who use WordPress, I'm not as familiar with WordPress because I design mainly for Squarespace, and that's what I'm familiar with. But I know Melissa in her blog post said that she uses the Essential Grid plugin. And she has kind of a tutorial about how she set hers up over there. Now, I'm not sure if that one is just for a free subscription, just adding in people's emails and then they can access it, or if you can charge people for it, and that would definitely be something to look into. Another plugin for WordPress is called the Pigeon Paywall plugin. Say that 3 times fast. And again, I don't know much about that one either, but they would be worth looking into if you're considering a library. But if you want to see what the TinyPass paywall looks like, I can try sharing my screen again.
Sure. While you do that, I'll
pull it up really quickly.
Okay.
Ready.
I'll say for my course, I use Wishlist Member. If anyone else uses WordPress, I really like that one because you can do different levels, like even up to like 10, 20 levels and any combination thereof. So if you have someone who's on like the entry level library, they could have one level and a different level if they want to pay more. So
that's awesome.
Just throwing another option out there. That's for WordPress also.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know too. All right. Let's try
switching over.
All right. Bear with me, guys. Start screen. Okay, we're back. So this is what it looks like if you were to go to Elle Company. Let's pull that over so you don't get tunnel vision. So if you were to click here to subscribe, you'd see it for a second, and then this paywall pops up. And this is where people can buy a monthly subscription where it's going to charge them that $6.99 recurring over and over again each month until they cancel. Or you can set it up for 3 months, 6 months, and they even allow you to do gift cards. So if you wanted to, or gift access. So for people who want to give a cool gift to someone, they can go on and purchase gift access and have it sent to someone's email as a gift. Really great for those last minute gifts too, if you're a procrastinator on gifts. Anyway, you can customize this top part here. Other than that, you can't really customize much, and it does have the TinyPass logo on it as well. And for those who have already purchased, they can sign in for access. So that's what the paywall looks like. For Memberful, I don't have an example, but if you go to Memberful, memberful.com, I can even show you what it looks like here. They have examples there for you too, and pricing and a demonstration, and you can try it for free. But this is great because they take care of the pricing for you. you don't have to mess with anyone's payment information. That's all on them. So they take care of that side of things. But yeah. Another great thing about both TinyPass and Memberful is that it allows users to have their own accounts. So people have to sign in under their own email address and their own password. It charges monthly, so it does that reoccurring charge on people's credit cards. So you don't have to bill them or anything like that. And it also gives you analytics. So you can see your growth from month to month. I know memberfuls might look different than TinyPass, but the number of subscriptions, again, that's something Jake loves to do, and me not so much, is look at all the analytics, but it's helpful to have it there. And member management on both of these sites too. So yes, I'll try to not share my screen again. We'll see how this goes. Just warning you. Okay, there we go.
There you go. You're back.
Awesome. But yes, so TinyPass, Memberful, the Essential Grid plugin for those of you who use WordPress, or you can try the Pigeon Paywall plugin too. Again, I don't know much about either one of those, but thought I'd throw those out there. And Jamie said Gumroad is another great place to host a subscription library too.
Yeah, so Gumroad, I use that for just purchasing my course. They handle all the payment and everything like that. And it's its own site. So I haven't looked too much into how you can integrate it with your own website, but I know that they have a whole platform there that's pretty nicely designed and it's friendly. And so you can jump in on Gumroad if you don't have a full-on website and you're just ready to go. That's another option. And they'll email you or email the subscribers the content, the new upgrades each month. You can do videos, digital downloads, anything like that. So, and it's nice because they handle, like TinyPass, they handle the payment. They also collect all the emails for you. So that's nice too. So
yeah, TinyPass does that as well, which is really helpful, exporting all of those emails into a list. And I should probably be better about emailing the subscribers monthly about the new updates that are in there. One other thing to be doing, add to my to-do list, but you can do that. You can export all the emails, which is really helpful. Like I said, TinyPass would be a great option. Just be sure to keep in mind how long it takes to get a payout to process. And I think that might have something to do too with TinyPass changing over to P&O and maybe merging companies or something like that too. So it might just be temporary, but for the last few months, that's definitely how it's been. But like I said, a lot of people offer free subscription libraries, and that's helpful. But if you're looking for a great passive income source, and I think if you're providing a lot of value and maybe something that people can't get anywhere else, I'd highly recommend charging for it. You saw for my library, it was $6.99. So it's definitely not as much as an e-course or something like that. It's manageable, and people can unsubscribe at any time too. So if they subscribe for 1 month and they decide they don't want to do it anymore, they can unsubscribe. It was a little disheartening at first when people started to do that, but that's the normal thing. And that's something to keep in mind with these membership sites. You want to encourage them to stay on, of course, by adding new content, but don't be too discouraged when people leave, because that's just the nature of having a subscription-based product. Now, if everyone's leaving, you might want to think about that, but a few every now and then, that's normal. So yeah.
I had a question for you. I wonder, do you run into people just purchasing for 1 month, downloading all of your content, and then leaving? Or is there a way that you somehow protect that? Or do you just kind of let that roll?
I kind of just let it roll. If someone really wants to take the time to go in and save every single file and do it that way, that's fine. And if they unsubscribe, they're missing out on great content to come to. I think that's part of the nature of it. I need to go in and set up some tags on all of the different items to see how many times people are downloading them. I can kind of see it through Squarespace, but I need to be more intentional about all of those links to see what people are doing. I will have people who subscribe right away and then within a couple hours unsubscribe. So I wonder if they're going in and downloading everything.
Oh,
That's kind of the nature of it. And then I really start to think, I'm like, wow, that must have taken so much time. That's fine. If you want to spend the time to do that, then that's fine. So yeah, and I would also recommend for those of you who are thinking about doing the subscription-based products that you have a terms and conditions too, just to make sure that with things like files that can easily be redistributed, and I have had people try to do that for Elle Company. I've had to go after and ask them to take it down, but just be sure that on the legal end of things that you're set up and good to go and you're covering yourself, because it does make it really easy for people to try to resell things or offer them as their own. So
yeah, that's the danger with any kind of online business, online marketing. I feel like everyone's going to run into that, as bad as it is, but yeah, it's good to keep it covered.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Well, did you have any other things you wanted to go over? Should I go into some of the questions we have here?
We can start with the questions. I'm sure it'll bring up other talking points too.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is from Katha, and it says, how often do you recommend updating your library with new items, and how many new items should you add in one go?
That's a good question. I think it depends on what you're offering. So like I said, for the Elle Company library, I try to offer 3 new items every month. So it's about once every week and a half, sometimes once every 2 weeks, just to keep people hope on the edge of their seats or keep them interested enough to stay on. But for something like Emily Jones, who from Jones Design Company that I told you about, she does a whole package every month. So it comes out once a month. It's like one that's themed for February, and it has those calendars and grocery lists and weekly charts and that sort of thing. So I think it really depends on what you're offering, but I think at least once a month, because it is a subscription. So you do want to be updating it often. If it's big items like Emily's that I just told you about, then once a month is fine. If it's smaller items like different files, you might do it twice a month or even 3 times a month, or weekly. But I would start off going on the low end and promising on the low end until you see what's realistic and what you can realistically keep up with. You can always add on more, but it's really hard when you already have those subscribers to back off and to not offer as many. So that's what I would recommend. Great question.
Thanks. Okay, so Shay is asking, what type of products do you suggest adding to a subscription library? Printables, worksheets, what else? I think you kind of went into this, but you can just touch on a little bit if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think files are great. Of course, that's what I do. Templates are really great, but also things like video lessons or ebooks or podcasts or fonts, like I said, patterns. It could be anything. And I would encourage you to get really creative about it. Stock images, like I said, photos, a community like Nisha did, which I think is genius. Yeah.
Think of things that you would want yourself. Like if you are kind of similar to your own audience, like what would you have wished you had a year ago? And maybe you could start offering those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as your audience changes too, like for mine, I started off and I was trying to appeal to everybody and I failed miserably. But when it started to change into creative entrepreneurs, I started to think, what are the things that they would want and need on a regular basis? Things like calendars, things like workbooks, and that blog workbook that you all are going to get. Things like business cards. They might not need it all the time, but when they do need it, it's there and ready for them. So make it very niche specific. If you try to add anything and everything, it's going to be really confusing and people won't know exactly what they're going to get each month. So I think that making it very niche specific, focusing on the value that you're offering people, focusing on what you can realistically offer, and making it somehow different, whether it's through your own design style, whether it's through the content, but make it different from what's already out there. I've read, I'm in the process of reading 2 books. There's this theme. I actually have them right here. I don't know about you, but I like figuring out the books people are reading. So
Yeah.
this has to do with it, differentiating. One's called 0 to 1, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future, talking about not doing what everyone else is doing and trying to differentiate yourself. And this one from Steve Toback I got yesterday. Jake is especially excited. Real leaders don't follow. So just focusing on, don't do what's already been done before. And if you do, then you better do a really good job at it or differentiate it somehow. But think about what hasn't been done before and go for it. So if it is a subscription library, it's been done before. But how can you do something that hasn't been done before with a subscription library? That's my challenge to you, especially as a creative entrepreneur. This is your chance to get really creative with it.
Yeah, I think that's great feedback. Okay, one more question from, let's see, Jessie. What type of technology do you use to enable members access to your library? A membership plugin for WordPress? I'm going to say we already answered that one pretty in depth.
And I can show you, if you want to see the back end of that Squarespace page and how I enter content, I'm happy to show that too.
Okay, let's get through a few more questions and maybe go back into screen share. I think that's a good idea. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that. Next question is from Jen. What are the logistics behind setting up a membership site on Squarespace?
Perfect. Well, let me tell you.
I mean, do you want to do that now? We'll just do that since it's on there.
Switch it around and show you. One more screen share. Why not? Let me get it set up first so that you aren't getting tunnel vision.
Okay.
It'll only take a second. These are great questions, though. I'm excited. I'd love to stay tuned on what people end up coming up with for their library.
Yeah, you guys will have to put in the chat if you already have a library or like what you're interested in doing. You can get feedback from each other there too. That's a helpful resource.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Share my screen. All right. Can you see it?
It's almost popped up. There we go.
Okay. So this is the back end of my Squarespace site for those of you who might be unfamiliar with Squarespace, or those that are familiar with it. This is what it looks like. This is the panel right here on the left side, and I have my main navigation, my footer navigation, and then not linked pages. This is where you'll add your library. You'll have a landing page for your library if you want to, that tells more about it, like I have up here. But for the subscription library itself, do it as a not linked page. Now, no judgment for the number of not linked pages I have down here.
No, mine would look like that too.
That's the great thing about Squarespace. But here's my login page is what I've named it. So this is how I just simply click edit. And again, because there's so many files on here, it's going to take a while and it's fairly slow. But when I want to go in and change any of this content, I can just start typing. For any of these, I add them as image blocks. So I can come in here and add an image block if I want to. I can add the image. So I went ahead and saved all of these as images. And once I upload it there, I can come down to click through URL. And if I click on that, I can come on over to files, and it allows me to upload the file here. So it'll show that image. That's what will appear on the page. But when they click it, it'll allow them access to those files. So that's how I've set up every file in the library. So if you have a video, you could do the same. If you have any other type of content, create a photo for it or create an image, upload it into the image block, and link it. So again, it was down here at the bottom of this image pop-up. I can pull it to the center. If you scroll down to click through URL and click on files, you can click this and go and upload any of these files. And you can even have it open in a new window if you want to. So that's how I go about it. If I want to delete anything, I can just click that. And there we go. So I can get rid of things quickly too on here if I want to. But in terms of adding that paywall code, if I click on the little gear here, the page configurations come up. And if I go into advanced, here's where I paste that code that TinyPass gives me where the paywall will come up. So it's up here. This is on the basic tab, but in the advanced tag, that's where I go and inject that code.
So that's pretty simple. That's all you have to do to get TinyPass.
That's all you have to do. Now on the TinyPass end of things, you set up your account and you choose which page you want it to go to. So you add this URL, the URL slug, ellencompanydesign.com/library access on the TinyPass end. But they'll spit out this code for you. You just have to copy and paste it, and it'll show up just like I showed you a few minutes ago. It'll pop up and keep people from seeing this page on my Squarespace site. So really easy. Really easy.
Yeah, it's nice to see it actually behind the scenes. You can read about it online, but to see how someone's actually doing it, for me, is really helpful, and it's encouraging to be like, just that little bit of code, that's it. Like, it's not as hard as I thought.
No, not at all. And I could go behind the scenes and show you into TinyPass. Hopefully it'll let me in right away. But it shows you the subscriptions. It shows you the paywall. You can come into the products. And here's where, so this is where you add it. The name of your offer, the website URL that you want it to show up on. Here are my different subscription options down here. You can come in and change your imagery. This is what the curtain will look like. It shows you what it looks like ahead of time. So it just walks you through. It's really simple. Here's where you can set up gifting. So here's my little code, and I have that on the library landing page. Do you want to give the library as a gift? Click this link, and if they click it, they can add the information in here and purchase their gift.
What a fun gift. Do you have people who do that?
I do. I always love seeing those pop up in my inbox and seeing those roll in because I think it's such a fun gift, but I do. So yeah, it's fun. Some people gift it to themselves, which is really funny. But yeah.
I could see myself doing that after like a good quarter. I'm like, I deserve access to Lauren's library.
Yeah, really great personal gift idea. Yeah. So that's an inside look at the library itself. And TinyPass really is so simple to use. And if I ever need to go in and cancel a user for them, because sometimes people don't always know how to go in and do that themselves, they make that really simple too. And then if I go in under reports and go to analytics, you can see revenue and all these charts here too. So, and which ones people are purchasing. So.
Oh, nice. So yeah, that's good to know, like which one they would prefer to have, the 1 month, month to month, or 6 month.
Right.
It's good analytics.
Yeah, definitely helpful. So yeah, that's an inside look. I can one more time.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That was awesome to see the back end. I think that's so helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. I'm all about simple. So when I looked into different options, that's why I went with TinyPass. Really simple.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. There's a question here. How do you keep people engaged in a subscription?
I think new content is what's really helpful. Is brainstorming new content, coming out with new ideas. I would like to think, and I probably need to be a little more intentional about this, but thinking about surprising people and trying to think about what they need before they realize that they need it. So the business card templates were really fun. People loved seeing those in there. And I set them up through Moo. So all they really had to do was save it and then order them, and they're good to go. Customize it, save it, and then they're good to go. But thinking about the things that your audience really needs and wants and just adding it on a consistent basis. Bring on contributors like I did with Jamie. I needed a little bit more help each month, and I knew that her designs were awesome too. So I was thrilled when I reached out to her and said, I have a crazy idea, but will you help me? And she did. So bring on help if you need to. Ask your audience for ideas. But I think offering consistent content is how you're going to keep people on and interested and continue to grow your number of subscribers. And
Yeah.
every time you put something new into your library, post it up and down and share it on all of your platforms. And if you do have a library and people find out about it through your website, try to drive more traffic to it on your website. Mention it in blog posts. Put it at the top of your navigation. Put it on your homepage. Let people know that it's there.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, let's see. Feel free to pass on this question. I'm going to ask it anyways. How many subscribers do you have? What's the retention like? And how much income does it bring in? So I know that's personal, so if you want to pass, that's completely okay.
I don't mind.
But I think you shared it, so already.
I shared my screen. That was a really good inside look. No, I have about 255 subscribers. And by the end of the year, I'd like to have about 500. So I'd like to double that. And you can do the math. TinyPass does take some of the money, so I don't get the full $6.99. It rounds out to being probably right around $6, maybe even a little bit more than that. But yeah, so it's great. I mean, if you think about it, I'm able to bring in around $1,500 from the library every month, which is really great for income. So yeah, so it's something that I can just add to every now and then, 3 times a month. And usually I enjoy working on the files that I add. I hope Jamie enjoys them too. I hope they're not a pain for her to create.
I love it.
But I actually enjoy it, and then I add it in and just try to get more and more subscribers. So it's really easy. It's nice side income too. That isn't the majority of my income, but it's a nice addition.
Yeah, it's great too for people who maybe have a full-time job elsewhere and are trying to transition. I think you mentioned that, like, this is a great outlet to start getting that and to build your confidence to let go of the full-time job and have some stability there.
Yeah, definitely. And I had someone who was asking me about setting revenue goals for the beginning of the year. Something like a subscription library makes it really easy to set those goals because you know, okay, $6.99 or whatever it is times this number of subscribers. If I want to be bringing in this amount of income, then I know I need to get X number of subscribers. It's just really, really easy to break down. And for someone who relies on freelance income for the majority of their income, having something that's product-based and subscription-based and just that regular recurring revenue is so helpful.
Yeah, they in the chat, they said, thank you so much for your transparency. It's helpful. So
you are welcome. That's what I'm all about, some transparency. So
here's a great question from Jessica. She says, if you already offer a free library of digital files, what is the best way to introduce a new membership option and convert people to a monthly subscription? She says she just launched a website and printables for free as a way, and it's been great to capture emails before my actual products launch in July. I'd love to change that to a subscription down the road, but want to go about it in the right way. I think a lot of people are in that same boat as doing those content upgrades for their blog posts. So do you have a suggestion on maybe, because I know you've given away a lot of free content, so how do you convert people to actually paying for it?
I would keep 1 or 2 of those as a free content upgrade to get people to subscribe. And I would work on trying to fill up your subscription library, maybe not showing the people that are like, maybe not adding it to your free library, but building up that content on the side. And it's great that you've already been using it to capture those emails because you have an audience who's already interested in what you're offering. But start it at a low price point. Like I said, it doesn't have to be super expensive. And if it's subscription based, then you might not want it to unless it's really high value. You might think about increasing the value either through quantity or through the quality. So if you're offering just smaller things right now, you might try to expand it and get people to pay for it in your subscription-based library. Make a big hype out of it. So instead of like shying away from it and saying, hey, I'm making this paid now if you want to offer it, differentiate it so it's not the same content that they've been getting for free, but make a big deal about it and show them the value and get excited so that you can create hype and get people to move over there. And if you've been producing really high quality stuff that they're interested in, they're not going to mind paying $6 or $7 a month to access the same thing, especially if you've bumped up the number of items and the quality of it. So I think actually you're at an advantage by doing it already. You know what goes into it. You know how much you might want to continue to add to it. Keep some of them for free as those content upgrades to get people to sign up. I still give away some of my items for free, like the blog calendar that I'm going to be giving you. But I would use that list to create excitement, show them the value, and point them over to your paid subscription.
Yeah, I think you're dead on, especially like creating a launch out of it, I think is key. Like, and you're really good about that. Like building hype around like this huge secret you're about to launch, you know. I think people are interested in that. So giving sneak peeks of it, that would be helpful too.
Yeah, giving sneak peeks would be huge. And every time, I mean, not just the launch of your paid subscription site, but also the launch of every new item that you put in. All week I've been telling people about the blog post templates, and I plan on doing that the next couple of days. So create excitement about each new thing that you put in there. Make it seem like everybody's doing it, and if somebody isn't doing it, then they're really missing out. Make it seem like fun. Take great pictures of what you're offering. I usually try to, well, with the blog post templates, it's a little bit different. But if it's something that's printed, if it's a workbook, I usually try to print it off and put it on, like, create just an environment with it on my desk, make it look like it's being used, and then take that photo and share it on Instagram instead of just the regular digital file so people can see it in use, which I think is really helpful too. A little visual marketing there. But yeah, make them look appealing by how you're sharing them too, but create big hype out of each new item.
Okay, we just have time for a few more questions, so I'm going to go in order that they're voted. Do you ever get support questions on your editable library items? How do you handle that? Oh, that's a great question.
Occasionally I do. Probably the most support questions I get are on how to unsubscribe, which is a little disheartening. But I add that in the FAQs of my site. But in terms of using them, I try to list steps. So for the blog post templates, for example, try to list out the steps of how to use it, which helps them. Most of the files in there right now are Adobe Illustrator, so those who don't have Adobe Illustrator might come into some trouble trying to figure out how to go in and customize them. But it's actually surprising I haven't had that many. And if I do, it's just some simple questions, and it only takes me about a minute to answer it. I haven't had to go in much detail. Sometimes it's helpful, too, if it's something like an Illustrator question for how to customize the file. I'll take a quick time video. So I'll film my screen and walk them through how to customize it. Maybe I should even do that on all the customizable files in there, include a video tutorial with each one. Note to self, always brainstorming, but that might be helpful to include a QuickTime video on there and a tutorial to prevent a lot of support questions. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one thing that I've done since I've been working on it is anticipating those questions. So we use free fonts, from Google Fonts. And so that prevents a lot of issues already. Also saving down the files to, I think I do like CS5. Mm-hmm. So some people don't have Creative Cloud, so we anticipate that. So we just do CS5. And even on some of the workbooks, I tell them, here's how in InDesign, because people aren't as familiar with InDesign, like just double click the color, change to your brand color, like just anticipating those questions so that Lauren doesn't get inundated with how to edit them.
Great job with that. Even when I don't ask her to, she'll say, yeah, I just went ahead and did them in Google Fonts. I think now because she knows and just because she's awesome, she thinks through those things ahead of time. But they're fonts that anybody could use. And a lot of people go in and add the fonts that are already associated with their brand too. So
yeah, always customizable. But yeah, anticipating those problems ahead of time is key for your sanity, I think.
Oh, yes, because nobody wants more emails. So, yeah, agreed.
Okay, is there a way to know how many times a file has been downloaded? That's from Kristen. I'm curious too, because you mentioned putting a tag on there.
Yeah.
I
need to have a meeting with Paul Jarvis. He's the king of all this stuff, so I'm planning on asking him that. But on Squarespace especially, I can see each one of those files has its own link or its own URL. So you can see in your analytics how many times somebody has been accessing it or just opening it. You don't know how many times they've saved it or they printed it, but you know how many times it's been accessed. So you can go in under Google Analytics and search that that specific URL, go in and just click on each one of your files, take that URL, look for it in Google Analytics, and you should be able to see how many people have at least accessed it or clicked on it.
I know if you have WordPress, there's a lot of different plugins. I forgot which one I use specifically, but there's a lot of different ones that you can store your downloads and it'll tell you how many times it's been downloaded.
That's awesome.
And you can even update that PDF if you want to. So I'll try to remember. I'll include that in the notes with the newsletter and the blog post, but there's a lot of free ones like that for WordPress that will tell you exactly. And you can just look under your downloads rather than going in Google Analytics and looking for each one. It'll have them all listed there.
Yeah,
that's so
helpful.
Squarespace isn't as friendly with PDFs in that way. So.
Oh, yes. They're still a little behind on some things like that. But yeah. And I think you can set goals with Google Analytics too, depending on how detailed you want to get with it. But you can set it up to where you might be able to set up a goal and see if it's being reached with the number of times people click on it.
That's a smart workaround.
It's a blog post, a tutorial. Another thing. You guys are just helping me with all sorts of ideas. But yeah, great questions.
Okay, let's see. Bree, we already answered this kind of question. What fonts to use in Illustrator? If user downloads a file and doesn't have the font, do you list where they can buy them? So we kind of went over that. You use Google Fonts for everything. Is that right?
Yes. And usually if they aren't Google fonts, at least free fonts, and I tell people about it ahead of time so they can go and download it before they open the file. So nothing that they have to spend extra money on. Usually something simple like Railway, which is one of my favorites. So I go back to time and again. So.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I'm looking at some of the questions that we've kind of already covered. Let's just make sure before. Oh, here's one from Emily. Can you talk about how you involved the contributors to the library and what that looks like?
So how I added contributors to the library. So Jillian and Jamie, I initially asked them to be a part of it. They're contracted work. So they don't I would love to bring Jamie on full time to Elle Company. I don't think she's doing great as it is. So they aren't technically employees, but I contracted the work out. And usually at the beginning of each month, or I think the last time, Jamie, it was like 3 different ideas over the next 3 months. We usually brainstorm ideas together of great ideas for the library. Jamie's come up with some really awesome ones that I never would have thought of before. So we have a brainstorm session, just kind of outline, just get on the same page about what it's going to look like, the sizes, the files, all of that sort of stuff. Jamie works on it throughout the month, and promptly a couple days before the end of the month will send me everything that I need. I usually don't have any revisions at all. I don't think I've ever had any revisions.
You haven't, no.
Because she goes above and beyond every time. But yeah, so she's been awesome, but usually just brainstorm at the beginning of the month, and then by the end of the month, Jamie has it ready, and then I add it in. So yeah, it's really simple. Jamie makes it really simple. It might not be that way for everybody, but again, Jamie's awesome.
Yeah, I think just logistically, like if that's maybe what Emily's talking about, I'm not really sure. But I don't actually go into TinyPass. I don't do anything on the Elle Company website. I just send Lauren the PDFs and say, does this look good? You know, it's pretty simple, like she said. I think the key, just because I am a contributor, if you're looking for contributors, look for people whose design aligns with yours, whose goals aligns with yours. Also, I really appreciated Lauren came to me and asked, you know, what would you like to contribute? I don't want you to do something that you're going to hate doing. And so I came up with ideas that were helpful. So just from my standpoint, that's kind of my feedback if you're looking for a contributor. And I think you did that with Jillian too, because she does different things than me.
Yeah.
She does what, like art prints, and
she's done the art prints in there, and she's done more of the print, more printable side of things. She's done some customizable files too, but I would highly agree with that too. Get people who align with your style or have the same vision as you. When I contacted Jamie and Jillian, I had already been following along with them for a long time. I really appreciated their design style. For Jamie, hers is similar to mine. And with all of her icons and illustrations, I love them. And so I knew that it would be a really great fit. And I even provided them with the Elle Company style guide ahead of time, but thankfully they'd been following along with me too and knew my style. Because that was really important for me, was consistency, especially as a graphic designer. But people whose work you respect, and people who you know go above and beyond. I knew with Jamie, I was not surprised at all when she sent me those first files, and they were perfect. I've never had any edits to make. But yeah, and just outline ahead of time what your expectations are, and yeah.
Oh, and a contract too, I think.
A contract,
yeah. Because I have designers I work with on client work, and a contract is key.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, it makes sure that you're treating it as a business relationship too. Because although Jamie is a really great friend, it's a business relationship too. So,
yes, definitely. Okay, I think that wraps up. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
I think that covered that. That was those were great questions. This is really fun. Thank you for having me on and inviting me. And I hope it was helpful for those of you who tuned in.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to switch over. Thanks so much for joining us, Lauren. And for everybody who tuned in live, thank you for all your really valuable questions. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but Lauren just has so much to share in just such a short period of time. We'd love to see if you guys come up with a library. Please tag us on Twitter, Instagram, and so we can see that and be a part of it. And we'd love to see how you use this tutorial for your business. And we'll see you for next Lunch and Learn. You want to say goodbye?
Bye, guys. Thanks so much again. It was so fun. Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Lauren. Bye.
Bye.